Hey everybody, how's it going? Mike from the Focus Garage, and in tonight's video, or today's video, depending on when you watch it, we're going to be doing an oil change, the break-in 600-mile service on this Aprilia Tuono V4 base model. So one thing that I want to show everybody here is that even though this is kind of a niche Italian bike and there's not a lot of them out there, it is not hard to do your own servicing on. All I needed to have in order to do an oil change on this bike was a 4mm hex wrench and a 10mm hex socket for the drain plug. This belly pan is multiple pieces, but you can take off only a few screws to get done what you need to get done. So this is obviously the way it would sit on the motorcycle, so imagine it facing forwards right now. All you've got to do is take out one screw in the back here, one right in the middle of it down there, one on the other side on the rear side of it, and then you've got two in the front here, 1 and 2. Then you've got two little overfill drain hoses right in here that you'll just snake through and pull out. They'll drain right through the belly pan there, so you just pull those out. This opens up real easy, nothing crazy there. And you can remove the belly pan. I've got the bike on a rear stand now, so that way the front of it's kind of facing forwards there. What you'll want to do then is go ahead and remove the oil fill plug and the dipstick as well. It's going to help kind of pull everything out of it that needs to get drained. Here is what the factory drain plug looks like, and what's cool here is it actually is magnetic from the factory. So you've got a magnetic OEM drain plug. Like I said here, that's your 10mm hex head right there that you'll put in, you know, break loose. And then for the filter, a tip that I love to show people here is make your own drain funnel out of aluminum foil. Otherwise, I would be drenching the oil cooler lines and these overflow lines in hot, dirty oil. So I went ahead and when I took the oil filter off, you will probably need a set of channel locks, vice grips, pliers, something like that to get it off, just because this is on here pretty tight from the factory. But when you go ahead and remove that, once you get it loose, obviously, if you've got a little funnel made here out of aluminum foil, the oil's got somewhere to drain rather than all over your motorcycle. Another cool little shot here of the side brackets that belly pan mounts to. But nothing crazy at all. I went ahead and I am going to be using Castrol 10W50, and it's a motorcycle specific oil here, and this is the recommended OEM oil fill. I'm going with a OEM filter and an OEM oil for my first service on the motorcycle here. Down the line, I may do something differently, but just for the first change here, this is what I wanted to put in it. And you can see that not really much metal at all came off of the drain plugs. Right, what we've got here, kind of this little black spotting on the rag, that's it. So nothing crazy at all. They do recommend that you change this crush washer every single oil change. I bought this kit from AF1 Racing along with my USB plug that I may or may not be putting a video up on. The bike does take 4.0 to 4.1 quarts of oil. Most people I've seen that do oil changes on these just throw the 4 in and they let it run like that. I haven't noticed any kind of issues with the motorcycle as far as like shifting or finding neutral, anything like that. So I'm not anticipating this to really make the bike feel or run any differently. I just wanted to get that break-in oil out. And as you can see, it's still kind of dripping down there. And that's one of the beauties of changing the oil in your own home is that you can really let the bike sit, let it drip, let it drain, and make sure that everything gets out of the bike rather than having a dealer, you know, rush through and everything like that. I am going to obviously clean up the bike, so the rear wheel is filthy. I have not cleaned that yet. I'm going to do a chain, lube, service, and adjustment on the bike. And while I've got the video camera rolling here, we can go ahead and check out and see what that looks like. So you can see from the dealership here, they put like a white lithium grease and it's sprayed all over everything, and it's real nasty. Oh my God. Disgusting. I can't wait to get all of it off. But I just wanted to kind of see. You can see that's quite a lot of holy cow. Yeah, that's a lot of chain slack. So that is probably why I get some chattering noise over there. It's literally resting on the guides. So that's one of those things that when you do a service on the bike, you want to see if there is anything up with the chain tension. So we'll go ahead and we'll pull some slack out of it here just because I'll have to measure and see what the factory spec is. I'm sure I've got it on the swing arm somewhere here, but that's pretty excessive. Yeah, like it's resting on the guide right now as the bike's just chilling, and it's probably not to spec there. Yeah. we'll play with that. But again, this is more of an oil change video. Here's kind of another shot of it here with everything draining. You've got the fill plug, or the drain plug, way down in there. Here's kind of your front 2 cylinders. Really neat to see it all packaged together the way it is on this motorcycle. And then I will show you from the front, we are going to be installing a oil cooler guard and a radiator guard. And I'm hoping that I can knock it out while I've got all the panels off for the oil change here. I do think I have to pull some of these side fairings off and do a little bit more in there to get to what I need to for the sides of the radiator guard. But before I put that belly pan back on back there, I'm gonna throw an oil cooler guard on and a radiator guard. Possibly we'll make a video out of that if there's anything weird that needs to be shown or demonstrated there. Biggest reasoning for that is I'd rather spend the $150, $200 to protect those rather than be stuck on the side of the road, need to buy a new oil cooler, need to buy a new radiator, pay for a tow, and deal with all that. So it's cheap insurance, make sure nothing punctures these giant exposed coolers in the front of the motorcycle. The oil cooler's got kind of a built-in shield there in that belly pan, but the radiator is just out there. So we'll cover that up, get all that taken care of there. But right now, I'm just gonna go ahead and let that oil finish drip in there. And once that's all done, I will go ahead and, using some clean oil, lubricate the new filter. Pre-fill it a little bit. I do always prefer to pre-fill your oil filters, so I'll put a little bit of oil in there, install it on the motorcycle, throw the drain plug in, throw all 4 quarts right here, right into the fill hole there, check the dipstick, make sure it looks like we're reading good. Let the bike run for a minute, make sure everything's good to rip there, and then we are good to go. So there is also a slew of torque things to check on your 600-mile service. So if you are not going to a dealer, please look online or look in your owner's manual and see what needs to be checked on the motorcycle for your 600-mile service. I am going to pull that up since I am not taking it to a dealer. My nearest Aprilia dealer is about 2 hours away. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to look and see what needs to be checked and serviced on my own here. We'll do the chain service and we'll go ahead and torque any bolts that need to be torqued or at least checked, and then we should be good to go. So without any further ado, that's going to pretty much wrap up this video. You may have a oil cooler and radiator guard installation video coming afterwards here. But don't be intimidated by an oil change on this bike. Stupid easy. You've got a few screws that hold on the belly pan, and then that's it. All you have is literally a 10mm hex there to pull the drain plug out, and some channel lock oil filter wrench to pull off the oil filter, and you're good to go. You don't need any kind of crazy specialty tools. You don't need some weird motorcycle lift. You don't need to turn the bike upside down. Nothing like that. I think a lot of people see these Italian motorcycles and they get scared and they realize the service costs and yada, yada, yada. There is no valve adjustment interval on this bike till 12 or 16,000 miles. Unlike a lot of these older ones, I believe they may have a valve adjustment interval at the first service, which is absolutely insane. So this doesn't have that. Luckily, so we can pretty much go ahead and slap some new oil in it, torque check some bolts, and it's good to rip. And then after that, I think it's every 3,000 or 5,000 miles. It might even be 6,000 miles between oil changes. I'm going to pretty much probably stick to the rule of 3,000 mile oil changes, just because I like to ride my bikes aggressively, so I don't want anything to be worried about dirty oil, metal in my oil, anything like that. Everything I've seen on these bikes shows that they are pretty solid, pretty reliable machines, so I'm going to trust that. I'm going to hope that that's true, and we'll just take care of it. You know, preventative maintenance is the biggest thing you could do on any kind of enthusiast vehicle, whether it's a car or a motorcycle. So we are going to make sure that this beauty is running in tip-top shape. So that's going to wrap it up for this one. We've got our oil change kit here. We're going to finish that up, throw it all back together, throw our guards on, and we will be good to go. Thanks for checking this video out. If you guys do have any questions, be sure to drop them in the comments down below. I have been loving this thing. We are exactly 602 miles in right now. And yeah, that's kind of where we're at. But that's going to do it for this one. This is Mike from the Focus Garage signing off, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Plenty of parts coming for this motorcycle. I went ham and ordered everything that I wanted. We have an exhaust, we have frame sliders, we have axle sliders, we have bar end mirrors, and more. So we're going to go ahead and we'll do all that in some upcoming videos. But that's going to wrap it up for this one. Thank you. Have a great night.